Amy Bradley's disappearance has fueled endless debate and a Netflix series as well, podcasts, internet theories. But what cuts through all the noise are the words, and the words of someone who was there the night Amy Bradley went missing. Talking about a key suspect, Alister Douglas, the guy also known as Yellow. So this is a statement investigation into what was said about Yellow and what those words might reveal. Welcome to Never a Truer Word, where we look at the words that people choose to use to see if they're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And if you're new here, what I do is different from anyone else. I strip away everything apart from the words that are said by the people at the heart of the story. And then I use my process of statement investigation to give you the key to seeing where the truth is, where deception could be happening, and the motivations of people talking as well. It's a process that I use with investigators, with corporate clients, and with the media to get a deep understanding of what is really being said. And this episode is live. So if you are in the live chat, if you're watching live, hello to you. Say hello in the live chat. Let me know where you're watching as well, because I'm fascinated by people, where people are watching from as well. Don't forget the reason that I do this live, and we haven't done a live for a while because I've been in the world of Adelsons. The reason that we do this live is to get that interaction, to get the comments, to get the questions, the observations, the theories from you in the chat as well. So if you are live, do get piled in. Hello to Erin and Sheila and Elizabeth. Cindy is here as well. She made a live. Hi, Cindy. Lena is there as well. We've got Afton. Witnessing reality worldwide. Will you be witnessing reality here? Panic at the Discourse as well is there. But I think we've got Simi, Elizabeth, Snoozy Girl. Know the feeling, Snoozy Girl, is there as well. Also, we had someone called Gen X and also Jackie, who is joined us as well. So hello to everyone in the chat. Do get involved. Replay crew. If you're in the replay crew, then do let me know as well in the comments on this platform if you're watching on the replay crew. We've got Louisiana for Cindy, for Simi, sorry. Erin is in the Appalachians in western North Carolina mountains. That sounds amazing. Shwana, hello, Shwana from Georgia. I've been to Georgia. Just Atlanta Airport, but I have been to Georgia. Elizabeth is in the Highlands, Perthshire, Scotland, an amazing place. And Kay is in Stirlingshire, which can also be, really nice. And Cindy, now you're in Arkansas. Do you have a drink with you, Cindy? That's what I want to know. Are you drinking anything? I don't mean in an alcoholic sense. I mean like Cindy likes a bit of statement investigation with a drink. Right. Enough of all of that. But do let me know exactly where you are. Snoozy Girl, Northern England. Me too, Snoozy Girl. Maybe the snooziness is something to do with where we are, because it's not been nice in Northern England. There, Afton is in Kansas. Okay, right. Let's get to the person that we're talking about now. And this is a guy called Oscar Alexander. Oscar Alexander was the roommate of Yellow, Alister Douglas, on the boat that Amy Bradley went missing for. And he, obviously, Yellow's had a lot of suspicion thrown at him, and he sent a sort of voice note to True Crime This Week channel. I've linked to them in the description of this episode because they really have gone into this in a lot of detail. So True Crime This Week, loads of detail on the Amy Bradley story. So Oscar Alexander, bandmate, roommate of Yellow. And so he's going to talk, well, we're going to listen to the statement where he talks mostly about Yellow, but does he also talk about himself? We are going to see. Now, I looked at Yellow a few weeks ago, and I just thought it was worthwhile going back over my conclusions about Yellow, because when Yellow was interviewed, I saw a lot of red flags. This guy did not reassure me in any way whatsoever. Just so many red flags popping off when he spoke. There was things like he said, when I went to the room, as if he was talking about two people going to the room. We went to the room. He didn't deny anything. There was no reliable denials coming from Yellow at all. And he did avoid the subject when he was asked about it a lot of the time. So what does his roommate have to say? It is a short statement. It's about 3.5 minutes long. I've broken it into two bits, and we'll do it in two halves, and we'll see what he has to say. So are you ready for a bit of Oscar Alexander?
Hi, good afternoon. This is Oscar Alexander. This is what I could tell you, what I remember, and this is the honest truth. What I remember is that we was in a band, was 4 of us in a band. We was the Calypso band on the Rhapsody of the Seas. And Royal Caribbean have at that time let us have something called Dancing Under the Stars. So we was playing, and by playing, Alister, which is yellow, end up talking to Amy Bradley. He talked to her. Now the thing about it now is that he talked to her and she left and she go. Now I never see Alister leave with her, nothing like that. I'm his roommate, and when we finish play, we come back down to our cabin, and around, let's say about after 3 in the morning, yeah, after 3, 4 in the morning, around that time, somewhere there, the security came and knock on our cabin. They knock, they wake us up, they search the cabin, they say Amy Bradley is missing. Amy Bradley was nowhere to be found in our cabin, because if Amy Bradley was in the cabin with Alister Douglas and I am in the cabin, I'm his roommate, I would have get fired from Royal Caribbean, you understand? Because that is against company policy to bring guests or passengers in your cabin,
Right, so that is the first part of the statement. I just want to deal with something that Aaron brought up, which is his English. You were playing, not you was playing. Aaron, I don't know what language this guy has as his first language. It could be that he talks English, but it's not what you call standard English, that you would hear the large amounts of the English-speaking world speaking. So for that reason, I am not going to just go too much into the actual word choices that he uses, but I'm going to deal more with the concepts from this guy. So he starts off by saying, "Hi, good afternoon. This is Oscar Alexander. This is what I could tell you, what I remember, and this is an honest truth." So, "Hi, good afternoon. This is Oscar Alexander. This is what I could tell you," is the first thing I pulled out there to flag. This is what I could tell you. Now, again, talking about English, I think the meaning of that would be, this is what I can tell you. But why is this what I can tell? What I could tell you? Why isn't it just going into the statement? Why does he feel the need to qualify it by saying, "This is what I can tell you"? It's very strange. This is what I can tell you. Why don't you just tell us everything? What I remember. So again, this is not, and he's setting this up here, it's not a full, unvarnished story. This is everything that he's got going for him, everything he knows. This is what I remember. So already at the very start of this statement, he's qualifying it all out. This is what I can tell you. This is what I remember. So he's not saying this is everything. This is the full story coming your way. He's qualifying that down. Excuse me a second. I need a drink. So this is what I can tell you. This is what I remember. So his priority is saying this is a bit limited. Before he gets into anything, he's saying this is a little bit limited. That's a flag there for me. And this is an honest truth. Excuse me, I have to cough. Man, that is better. So this is an honest truth. I'm always wary of people who tell us they're being honest. I'm always wary of people saying, this is the honesty, this is the truth, because truthful people in general don't feel the need to tell us that they're being truthful. Just truthful people, they just tell the truth. They just go into it and they go through the story. But we've got such a build up here. This is what I can tell you. This is what I remember. And this is the honest truth. We have something going on here where so many red flags at the start. Also, this may just be word choice from someone whose English is not the first language, but this is an honest truth, as if there is more than one honest truth that could be told. He's setting this up as being a narrative. He really is. This is an honest truth. This is an honest truth, as if there's more than one. This is just one version of that honest truth that he has. So look, there you go. What's that? 15 words at the very start. And I've got 3 things that say, what is coming here? This, to me, is Really odd. He started off and his priority is, I'm being very limited here in what I can tell you. I'm being honest as well, though, and it's just one of the honest truths. What I remember is we was in a band. So Amy Bradley is missing, has been missing for years. It's the biggest event in this story. And the first thing he can tell us about is he was in a band. So his priority memory is he was in a band. Not his priority memory was being one of the last people to see Amy alive, being one of the last people to see Amy interact with people. No, his priority memory is we was in a band. And then he expands on that and gives us lots more detail here on the band. Was 4 of us in the band. We was the Calypso band on the Rhapsody of the Seas, and Royal Caribbean have at that time they have something. They have something called Dancing Under the Stars. Now, please let me know if you've got any thoughts on this inside the comments, because both Yellow and Oscar mentioned the name of this night, Dancing Under the Stars, or this show, Dancing Under the Stars, that happened. It's, in the grand scheme of things, about Amy Bradley being missing and Yellow having interaction with Amy Bradley on the night before he went missing, and the fact that, some people are suspicious of Yellow. In the grand scheme of things, the name of the show seems really tiny, but both of them refer to the night of the name of the show, Dancing Under the Stars. And I really want to know why that is. It could be that they were very proud of it. It could be a career highlight. It could be a very innocent thing as well. Could be scene setting. Is it saying that, this happened outside or something like that? I don't know. Was there something? I don't know. It was innuendo laden or romantic laden or something like that. I don't know. But both of them point out the name Dancing Under the Stars. But the big bit there for me is the priority memory. It's not remembering seeing Amy. It's we was in a band. He carries on. So we was playing. And by playing, Alister, which is Yellow, end up talking to Amy Bradley. End up talking. There's something there again. This is jumping over how they got talking. Was it that Amy showed lots of interest in Yellow and, she was standing near him when he was on the stage, or, making eyes at him, or vice versa? Was it that Yellow was like, acting towards Amy when he was on stage playing and so on? I don't know. But what I get is that we've got end up talking to Amy Bradley, and he's jumping over the reason why they get talking. He just doesn't say that. End up talking to Amy Bradley. He talked to her. So that's twice now he said talked to her. And he's going to say it a few more times. It's really important for him to say that the interaction was talking and not anything else, just talking to Amy Bradley. He talked to her. Now, the thing about it now is that he talked to her. Now, he uses the word now twice. Now, the thing about it now is that he talked to her. Why is that a thing about it now? Why is it not just a thing in general? Is it because there was more than talking going on? Because we're getting this end up talking to Amy Bradley. We're getting this. He's really desperate to say that they talked together, and talked comes up a lot. The thing now is they talked. If he told the story, if Amy hadn't gone missing, would he be telling the story? And it wouldn't just be talking, but now, because of what's happened, I just want to say he talked to her. And she left, and she'd go. Now, I never see Alister leave with her. Nothing like that. We have lots of negatives there, including my favorite word, never, or my least favorite word, never, which is something that is used a lot in deception. It feels like it's a big solid word. It feels like it means not at any time, but never is used in deception so often, because we say never and it seems to cover everything in the world that could possibly happen. However, when you break it down, people use never all the time, and they don't mean it in the large way that it's defined. I never see Alister leave with her. Nothing like that. Very persuasive there. Not just I never see Alister leave with her. I never see nothing like that either. And you'll notice that he's told us what he didn't see. I never see Alister leave with her. Nothing like that. He doesn't tell us what he saw. He doesn't tell us he saw Yellow talking to Amy Bradley. He doesn't say that he saw her leaving. She left, she go. He doesn't say he saw those things. So he doesn't tell us what he saw. He only tells us what he didn't see. I'm his roommate, and when we finish play, we come back down to our cabin. That's how it carries on. So I'm his roommate, so he's setting up there. I'm his roommate. And when we finish playing, that should be, I guess, to make it understandable, when we finish playing, we come back down to our cabin. There's an inference there that it's him and more than one person. And saying as he's talked about the roommate and introduced the fact they are roommates, then is he saying here, when we finished playing, we went back down to our cabin. Now, I know from listening to Yellow's story, that's not what happened. Yellow says he spent some time talking to Amy Bradley and going to a club with Amy Bradley. So the two things don't match up. One of them's telling a lie here. One of Yellow or Oscar Alexander, because when they finished playing, according to Yellow, he went out and he spoke to Amy Bradley. He went downstairs and got changed and came back up and talked to Amy Bradley some more. Him? No, we just finished playing. We went back down to our cabin. And that word back as well is interesting. I get they could have come from the cabin to play and therefore they went back down after playing. However, back down to our cabin, did they go back to the cabin before? Was there something that went on in the cabin, then they left the cabin, and then they went back down to the cabin? We finish play, we come out our cabin. It really seems to be him and Yellow Alister that he's talking about there. And then we have the best description of a time ever. Around, let's say, after 3 in the morning. Yeah, after 3, 4 in the morning. Around that time, somewhere there. Now, what time was it? Look at it. Look how vague this is. Around, vagueness. Let's say, so again, vagueness. 3 in the morning, liar's number, just in case you didn't notice it. 3 in the morning, after 3, 4, don't know when it was, in the morning, around that time. Somewhere there. The security came and knocked our cabin. Now, if you follow that story, then you'll know that Amy Bradley wasn't reported missing, I think, until the next morning. Was it 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning? Something like that. So why was security knocking on their door between 3 and 4 around that time, somewhere there in the morning? Could be he's got messed up after all these years and doesn't remember the exact time. That seems to be what's going on there, that he does not remember the time. However, we have real vagary there that he's not committing to anything at all there. Security came and knocked on our cabin, you know. They knock, they wake us up, they search the cabin. Now, I like that part of it because the ordering is really good there. They knocked, they wake us up, they search the cabin. That to me seems like it could come from real memory. They knocked on the door, they wake us up, and they search the cabin. Now, again, it's completely different from the telling of the story that Yellow Alister had when he said there was a phone call to the cabin saying don't leave the cabin or something like that. But I believe that part. They knock, they wake us up, they search the cabin. They say Amy Bradley is missing. You'll notice he's very light on the detail between when they finish playing and when this knock on the cabin comes. It's just we finish playing, we come back to our cabin. Doesn't say anything else there. It's as if, you know, they went, boom, asleep and woke up there. But there's a lot of Panic at the Discourse puts it quite rightly there. There's a lot of time missing between stopping playing and going down to the cabin. It's very, very light on detail, especially when you think of some of the other detail that he's gone into there. Oh, by the way, I should have mentioned at the end there, I don't think for a second security say Amy Bradley is missing. I think that is his way of communicating that, you know, the security would have come and said a woman's missing or, you know, someone's missing on the boat or something like that. I want to know why they went to that room, or were they searching all the rooms? Anyway, Amy Bradley was nowhere to be found in our cabin. Now, that's weird as hell. It's not. Amy Bradley wasn't in our cabin. It's not Amy Bradley was never in our cabin. It's Amy Bradley was nowhere to be found in our cabin. This is like, you know, when you lose your keys and you know they're in the house somewhere and you'd say, my keys are nowhere to be found in here. But you know they're in the house. You know they're there. And then you find them and they say, oh, that's where they were. That's what that phrase reminds me of. Amy Bradley was nowhere to be found in our cabin. Because if Amy Bradley was in the cabin with Alister Douglas and I am in the cabin, I'm his roommate, I would get fired from Royal Caribbean. Not Amy Bradley was nowhere to be found in our cabin because she was never there or she was not there. Really, really, really weird way of saying it. It's not Amy Bradley wasn't in the cabin. It's Amy Bradley was nowhere to be found in our cabin. That's as if He was expecting Amy Bradley to be found in the cabin, just like those keys. They're nowhere in the house, but you will expect to find them in the house. Amy Bradley was nowhere to be found in her cabin because, and have you heard of an embedded confession? That's when the very bad words are inside something that someone says. They might be qualified off with ifs and buts around them, but the bad words are right in the middle there, and they are right in the middle here. Amy Bradley was in the cabin with Alister Douglas. He says the words right there. I know it's got an if that qualifies it, but he says Amy Bradley was in the cabin with Alister Douglas. You'll notice that this could be an embedded confession. Also, the thought is in his head that it's highly possible Amy Bradley was in the cabin with Alister Douglas because he says it out loud. So to him, it's not impossible that Amy Bradley was in the cabin with Alister Douglas. He says, if she was, I'd get fired. Therefore, he must think that it's possible that Amy Bradley was in the cabin with Alister Douglas. Again, why does he say he's the one that would get fired from Royal Caribbean if Amy Bradley was in the cabin with Alister Douglas? I get there could be fallout. I get if there's two people in there and he's one of the people along with Amy Bradley, they both get fired. But he doesn't talk about Alister getting fired. He talks about he would get fired. If Amy Bradley was in the cabin with Alister Douglas, I, Oscar Alexander, would get fired. And then he does something very similar to Yellow, which is talk about the company policy. You understand, because that is against company policy to bring guests or passengers in your cabin. Yeah, no. So look, that's the first half of the statement. For me, compare the detail of the ship and the band in the event versus any detail around Amy whatsoever. You know, he talks about the ship. He talks about how many people were in the band. He talks about the name of the ship, the name of the event, and so on. He talks about them playing at that event. Lots and lots of detail, scene-setting detail, but then the detail around Amy is Yellow talked to Amy, and she left, and she could have been in the cabin. No detail on Amy whatsoever. And he seems really open to the idea that Amy could have been in the cabin. Let's have a look at some of your thoughts there. Let's just go through them. Afton, honest truth is already troubling. Yeah, he starts this statement out by saying, this is the honest truth. That is a worry for me. Elizabeth says he's validation himself with honest and truth. If you're telling the truth, you don't have to validate it. Exactly, Elizabeth. Although I should say, there is one time when we are telling the truth, when we will use phrases like honest, and this is the truth, and that's when our credibility is questioned. So in general, in the first pass, when we're telling the truth, we don't feel the need to point out we're telling the truth. But if our credibility is questioned, then we may do that. For example, if I saw Madonna at my local gas station, I might say it very truthfully. I just seen Madonna at the local gas station. And someone goes, no way did you see Madonna at the gas station? And I'd be like, honestly, I'm telling the truth. Madonna was there. So when my credibility is under threat, I may use those words. Now, is that why he is using those words? Because his credibility is under threat? I don't know. I don't think he's spoken before this. So I'm not sure his credibility is under threat, but that might be why. Lena said this couldn't start off worse. You know, a whole paragraph telling us why he can't tell the full truth because it's only what he remembers, and this is the honest truth. I agree with that. Witnessing reality worldwide says, after watching all of your videos, I watch what I say now carefully. I like that. You make a great impression with people witnessing reality. Cindy, how many years has he been explaining and telling the honest truth? I don't know. Maybe someone else can answer that question. I don't know if he's spoken before. I couldn't find anything from him speaking before, I think, when I was looking for it. I think this is he's given this statement on the back of the interest in the Netflix documentary. Simi, that's how I took it too. Like, I'm not going to tell you all of it, but I'll tell you this. That's to the intro of it. That really feels like what he was saying. Panic at the Discourse. An honest truth. Yes, this is an honest truth as opposed to a dishonest one. He's laying it on real thick. Afton, high priority. Maybe they got frequently lucky at the shows. Yeah, this is the Dancing Under the Stars. I do wonder if there's an element of that in it, which is, you know, it's Dancing Under the Stars night, lads. We're going to get lucky. Or, you know, maybe if it's like last week, we'll get lucky again. I wonder if that's why they mentioned it. Afton, wasn't there something weird in Yellow's description of the talking? Everything Yellow said was weird to me, Afton. He talks in the negative, says Sheila. Yeah, it was all the stuff that he didn't see that he told us about. Oscar's giving wingman bros before energy. I think I know what you're saying there, Panic, at the discourse. Let's come back to that at the very end. I think wingman energy is exactly what is going on here. And Aaron says, is he referencing the time often and vaguely so he doesn't have to pin down any times? He could be. I mean, that was one of the vaguest statements. It's one for the Hall of Fame, I think, there, because it really did feel like one of the vaguest statements ever. We're going to do part 2 in a minute. Can I just do some sales on you now? Really popular today for some reason, so this is why I thought I'd mention it. Sign up for the Never a Truer Word newsletter. Once a month, you get some tips on detecting deception in people's words, and sometimes when it's written down and you can watch the videos that go along with it, then it becomes really educational, and you can just learn a little bit more or see some examples that are not big enough for a full episode like this, but fit really nicely into a newsletter. And also, in the current one, I've got a free download for you, which started off on a bit of a card, and has become something I'm really, really proud of. So even if you don't sign up for the newsletter, if you do have a look at the current one, then you can find the free download link on that and download yourself something about detecting the truth and lies when people talk to you in a really easy framework. To get all of that, neveratruerword.com. You find all the links in the show description. Enough sales stuff, although do stay at the end so you can find out what the next episode is on. Let's listen to part 2 of the statement from Oscar Alexander.
We was the FBI came and they do the investigation. They put the whole ship, most of the crew member, under lie detector test. All of the crew member passed it, you understand, including Alister Douglas passed it, including me passed it, everybody passed it, you know. And Alister Douglas was cleared by the FBI, you understand. And the honest truth, what I believe is that I pray to God that Amy Bradley family find the person or the people whoever did that crime, you understand, on that ship. But Alister Douglas is an innocent man. Alister Douglas had nothing to do with Amy Bradley disappearance. He is innocent, and I will swear on the Bible to that, you understand? My opinion about that, I believe that the father and the brother have a big part to do with Amy Bradley disappearance, you understand? And they are trying to free Alister Douglas. But Yellow, Alister Douglas is an innocent man, you understand? And I will swear on the Bible to that. And this is the honest truth.
So there we have the final words of Oscar Alexander, although it did make it sound like he's no longer with us. He is very much with us. Yeah, that is the end of his statement. So let's have a look at that. And that second part starts with, and we was and if you remember the bit that went before it, was he was talking about the fact that he couldn't break any rules because otherwise he'd get fired. And then he says, and we was the FBI came and they do the investigation. I want to know what he was going to say there. And we was because that's him and Oscar again, I think. And we was the FBI came and they do the investigation. They put the whole ship, most of the crew member, on the lie detector test. All of the crew member passed it, you understand, including Alister Douglas passed it. Okay, so the FBI came and they do the investigation. They put the whole ship, most of the crew member, on the lie detector test. Now, he's got very smaller there for a sudden because he was on the whole ship, and then it's just most of the crew members. And so it's not even the whole ship. And then he thinks, oh, no, they didn't do the passengers. Most of the crew members on the lie detector test. I'm interested in why he's zoned in on crew members there because I don't know what the investigation involved, but surely if there were suspects in the disappearance of Amy Bradley, passengers and crew members could be equally suspect unless they knew something a little bit different. But he wants to zone down on just the crew members and not everyone on the ship, including the passengers. All of the crew members passed it, you understand. Well, they didn't because only most of the crew members did the lie detector test. So again, we've got this real vagueness in the words that he's using there. You understand, I think now, you understand seems to be one of his crutch phrases. Like, some people use, or like that some people use a lot. I tend not to read a lot into all of them, but this seems to be a little bit convincing. Like, You understand? Just making sure you get that point because it's very important to me. All of the crew members passed it. You understand what that means? Including Alister Douglas passed it, including me passed it. Everybody passed it. Look at the order he tells us that people come past the test. Yellow comes first, and then him, and then everybody else, or everybody. He wants to clear Alister first. It's the most important thing for him to do is to clear Alister, not himself. Now, that's really, really interesting because a lot of people, their priority would be themselves, clearing themselves. I passed it, Alister passed it, everyone passed it. But he goes to Alister first, as if Alister's like the prime suspect, the very biggest thing that he wants to mention. He wants to protect Alister before he protects himself in this ordering here. Alister passed it, including me passed it, everybody passed it, you know. And Alister Douglas was cleared by the FBI, you understand. So he seems to really want to prioritize Alister Douglas there. He doesn't say anything about himself being cleared by the FBI or anyone else being cleared by the FBI, only protecting Alister Douglas here. Really interesting and curious that he wants to zone in on yellow. And then we have, again, and the honest truth, what I believe is that I pray to God that, so we have an honest truth here. So once more, he's persuading that he's been honest. We've spoken about that, but he's really going hard in on it. And then there's an honest truth, and then there's what I believe that. So is this an honest truth, or is this just something he believes? Or does he want to say, I honestly believe that Amy Bradley's family find the person or people? So why, if that is what he's saying, why does he have to persuade us that he honestly believes that? I honestly believe what I believe. I pray to God that Amy Bradley family find the person or people who did that crime. Now, Amy Bradley's missing. No one knows what happened. Lots of theories, lots of debates, but no one knows what happened. And one of the strongest theories is she was on a boat at sea. She could have fallen off that boat. It could be an accident, but not for Oscar Alexander, because he wants Amy Bradley's family to find the person or people who did that crime. Not the crime, that crime. That's a very specific crime that he seems to know something about, to be using those words, the person or people who did that crime. That's really suspicious. You understand? That comes again. You understand? This is really important for him. He seems to punctuate important things that he wants to get across with, you understand, and it's really important to him that he wants to find the person or people, whoever did that crime. Now, if you go back to the very beginning, the honest truth, what I believe is, I want the family to find the person or people who did that crime. Now, if he's using the honest truth and he doesn't believe that because he's persuading us he's lying and he's flagging it up with the honest truth, he doesn't want to find the person or the family to find the person or people who did the crime. If he's lying, then that's flagged by that. I'm telling you the honest truth. On that ship, whoever did that crime on that ship, he seems to have some information here or some thoughts in his head that there was a crime, and it's not just any old crime, it's that crime. That's very specific, that crime on that ship. And then he links it. But Alister Douglas said, Alister Douglas is an innocent man. Alister Douglas had nothing to do with Amy Bradley's disappearance. How does he know that? Because he says this, but he doesn't vouch for Alister. He doesn't say, I was with him all the time. When we finished playing, we went down to the cabin, we fell asleep, we got woken up by a knock on the door, and they told us Amy Bradley was missing. So how does he know that? He doesn't tell us. Very, very light on detail. Very, very light on detail. He is innocent, and I will swear in the Bible to that, you understand? Now, we have swearing on the Bible. Again, that is very much convincing us that he is telling the truth. It's very much in the, I'm being honest here. People very often invoke the Bible or God to say, honest to God, I'm telling the truth. And I'm not knocking religious people. What I am knocking is people who use that as a tactic to lie. I will swear in the Bible, you understand? And then he says, my opinion about that, I believe that the father and the brother have a big part to do with Amy Bradley's disappearance. So the father and the brother have a big part to do with Amy Bradley's disappearance, but previously he's just said that he wants the family to find the person or people who did that crime. Well, it's them. What you're saying there is it's them, or they had a lot to do with it. Therefore, you want the family to find themselves? Why the contradiction here, Oscar? Very, very strange. I believe the father and the brother have a big part to do with Amy Bradley disappearance. You understand? And again, we have that you understand. You understand. He wants to hit these points and make sure that we really got them with you understand. And they're trying to frame Alister Douglas. But Yellow, Alister Douglas is an innocent man. You understand? And I will swear on the Bible to that. And this is the honest truth. I am telling you, thank you. He will swear in the Bible to it, and this is the honest truth. He's trying too hard to tell us that he is telling the truth. Truthful people just tell the truth as they know it. And he is telling us so often how much he is being honest. He's persuading me too hard for that. Also, again, Alister Douglas is an innocent man, but he doesn't tell us how he knows. So listen, my conclusion on the whole thing, and then we'll come to some of your points because these look really good. There's some of the stuff you've been saying. I don't like how often he tells us this is the truth that he's being honest. That's a red flag to me. That suggests to me deception could be happening. His description of Oscar and Amy's interaction is vague and undetailed. I don't think he saw it. I really don't think he saw it. I think someone told him it happened, but I don't think he saw it. Oscar does not describe himself, though, with Amy at all. He never interacts with Amy. There's never anything talking about interacting with Amy. I don't get the sense he's hiding anything about interacting with Amy as well. It's all on Oscar. It's all on Yellow. It's all on Alister, the interaction with Amy. He is very open, though, to the fact that Amy could have been in the cabin, and his reasons for Amy not being found in the cabin, they're really, really poor. It's not Amy was not there. It is strange. And the fact he doesn't say Amy was never in the cabin. He doesn't say that once. He just doesn't mention it. He does not vouch for it at all. And he seems to believe that a crime has taken place, although he's not straight on what that crime was. At some point, it's a crime and he wants the family to find out who did it. At other points, he seems to be alluding to the fact that the family are part of the crime. So I'm not even sure that he believes the family part of it or that he wants the family to find out anything about it. Wingman vibes is what I got. Someone mentioned wingman vibes. I think that he's been asked to do some cover up, and he, like the loyal friend he is, did some cover up, and then because it's turned into such a serious thing, he has to continue doing that cover up. Do let me know what you think of that. We will have a look at some of your comments. So Lena says most of the crew members, yeah, we picked up on that. It's like most of the crew passengers, most of the crew members, all the crew members who actually took that lie detector test. I think Lena as well said something quite interesting, which I thought of as well when I was doing it. How many days did it take to do those lie detector tests? Or, and I don't know, I haven't watched the documentary, I don't know too much about this, did only some of the crew, rather than most of the crew, get these lie detector tests? Because that wouldn't take a long time. Sheila spotted honest truth again. Good old guy told us the honest truth so much. Most of the crew, Panic at the Discourse, picked up on that one as well. And then Gen X, how would he know for sure Yellow is innocent but blame the dad and brother? Doesn't make sense to me. He doesn't tell us that at all. It's like a politician coming out and making a speech, and they've got certain points that they have to hit in that speech, and that's what they will do. That's what this feels like. I have to get out my points that she walked away. They didn't find her in the cabin. We was asleep. He's an innocent man, you understand? That's what I think is going on there, because he doesn't explain to us for one moment why he says with such certainty and over and over again that Yellow is innocent. And you notice the fact he says it over and over again. Liars very often say the same thing over and over again, say the lie more than once, because it's really important the lie is believed. So they repeat it just to make sure we heard it, in case we weren't paying attention the first time, or the more times we hear it, the more times it will sink in. Gen X, great question. Cindy, I just don't know. If English isn't your first language, then it probably would be hard with word placement and phrases. Get what you're saying. Words, yeah, phrase. You'll notice that I've only picked up on one or two words here, but he can talk English very, very well. You can see that he used tenses at some points and so on. So going with the concepts of what he spoke about, I think is the best thing to do in this. And what he didn't do, denials of anything, and there's nothing there saying how he knows all this is true. Aaron says he tries to blame two people colluding. Is that leakage? Two people, he and Yellow, for example, responsible for the crime. Actually, I think, let's just go back into the words there. as that the person or people, whoever did that crime. Now, he said person first of all, then people, and then whoever. Is that one person or is that more than one person? Does he think it was one person? The person or people, whoever did that crime. I wonder if he was going to say person and then changes it into people, because whoever did that crime would stand on its own as meaning no knowledge. Whoever did that crime, I want the family to know about it. But person or people, yeah, interesting, Aaron. Yeah. Don't know what to make of that. It probably takes a little bit more of investigation there. Yellow is the priority here, says Sheila. Yeah, the way that he was kind of not bothered about proving his own innocence. He was bothered about saying how innocent Yellow was. Very interesting. Aaron got the same thing. He wants to clear Alister first because he's who brought Amy. If that's cleared up, then he's in the clear by default. Sammy, Oscar knows something, in my opinion. I think Oscar does know something as well. And Mary Jane Carpenter, that crime, how would he know it was a crime? Completely agree. It is a very, very, very shady thing. Panic Discourse, Jack, you need to yell at your ISP for a bit more broadband. I've got a lot of broadband, Panic. Is there something going on there that I don't know about? Because I've got plenty of broadband, and if it's not working, then I will be shouting at someone. Thank you for that. And Afton says it is interesting what he finds important. Yeah, he really did find some real things, real strange things important. And Snoozy Girl has become a member. Let me tell you about the benefits of being a member. It means that you get, it depends which level of member you become, Snoozy Girl, but you can get access to the weekly episodes ahead of anyone else. You also get exclusive episodes. There is an exclusive episode I'm really looking forward to, which I am planning at the moment. That will be a little bit around. That will be around, sorry, a little bit soon. And also then this weekend, then we have Wendy Adelson under the statement investigation microscope. I'm going to be looking at her trip up Trescott Drive. If you're familiar with the Adelson story, she went up Trescott Drive, and boy, did she tell that story an interesting way a few times. That's coming this weekend. If you are a member with full access, then you can get that one right now. Thank you very much for being here. Apparently, I'm breaking and chopping up a little bit, which I've got no indication of on my side, so I'm really sorry about that. But hopefully, you got enough of the episode, and we will see you soon for something new from Never a Truer Words.